The Creator has been one of the most anticipated films of the year. Did it meet my expectations? Did it meet yours? Well, let's talk through this and figure it out. What I like the most about this film is that it was an original sci-fi plot, but you can see the inspirations that it took from other stories. Blade Runner, Terminator, The Last of Us, District 9, a little bit of Elysium. It felt a lot like Neil Blomkamp's fingertips was in here, and a little bit of James Cameron as well. And I really enjoyed the fact that stuff felt familiar, but was used in different ways in the film. Because instead of just copying everything they saw and trying to make their own version of those movies that I stated in shows and properties, they took those things and made it their own and made it their own special way for this film, particularly in the way it flicks the story. Some of the things about AI and a mixture of AI and human and how humanity is done and how all those themes are spread throughout all those films here and the danger of AI, but the way it's portrayed in the film doesn't feel like it's just another derivative sci-fi film. The movie is told through flashbacks, anecdotes, and different discussions through the movie as we travel through the film with our two main leads, and I think that they did a good job of world building. The world feels lived in. The details is what really bolsters the story. A lot of things in the background, a lot of things that are talked about in the news, especially the way they opened the film and then they showed how AI was birthed, the advanced version of it that we don't have in the real world yet, and then how we got to this point where AI and humanity is against each other. Humanity is a big theme here, and what does it actually mean if humans create something that's supposed to replicate us and imitate us and feel the same way we do? Are they human? And that question is like the through line of this film and holds the plot together. And while a sci-fi movie like this is usually so focused on the plot, super serious, no chance for like a bunch of jokes or levity or exploring characters' personality, because they're more chess pieces than just like characters that we're going to be falling in love with. I think that they did a great job of finding the ways to have some heart and some emotional tugs throughout the film. I know by the end of the film that it got me with some tears in my eyes. I think part of that is John David Washington. His performance as Joshua, the military guy that is trying to find this dangerous AI component and runs into the child. I think this is one of the better performances he's had in his career. I've been a big vocal person of saying that I don't really think that I've been impressed by anything he's done so far, but this one he did a really great job playing Joshua. He conveys the emotional aspects of this movie really well, and the stoicism and closed offness that he had throughout because of the tragedies in his life. Joshua goes through a journey in this film with twists and turns, some that you see coming, some that you don't, and even the ones that you do see coming, it's done in a way that feels fresh. And he's backed by Madeline Una Wallace, a 12-year-old who plays Alfie. She's the AI that everyone thinks is this world-ending machine that's going to destroy everything and turn the tide for the AI versus humanity so they could take over the world. But she's so much more than that, and there's something deeper about the character that's really nice to discover throughout the film. And I think that this young actress did a phenomenal job in the movie. She almost stole the whole show every time she's on screen. She had fantastic chemistry with John David Washington, and those characters, when they were together, were some of the best moments. Joshua is stoic, scarred, and like cut off. Alfie is adorable, curious, and innocent. That makes really a great dynamic as they both kind of teach each other about each other, and they go on this journey together, kind of exploring each other and building that connection that you would see in a movie like The Road or a show like The Last of Us or even The Walking Dead and all these different apocalyptic shows where a very capable man is protecting a very special child. We've seen that done very to death in the last recent years, but it's done really well here. And I gotta say, a lot of people have been talking about leading into this film, the visual aspects of this film and how it's looked like one of the best sci-fi movies in years, and they're not exaggerating. This movie is absolutely gorgeous. The use of actual locations, the use of practical effects, and the very clever use of CGI and mixing all that together makes this movie look like it's so lived in and a sight to behold. I gotta say, just the visuals alone and how it looks is enough to go run to the biggest screen you can watch this on and check it out. The action set pieces are really thrilling, intense, and gripping because of that. They're a little bit inventive as well and creative, while also feeling familiar because it borrows from different wars of our times while adding a futuristic sci-fi aspect to it. And I had a really good time watching those scenes. There's two major aspects of this film that's holding it back from being a perfect or a masterpiece film. I don't want to say it can't be a classic, because it definitely could be, because you don't have to be a masterpiece to be a classic film. But these two things really held it back from me going Google Gaga oh the film. And that first thing would be the editing. I think the editing of the film, especially in the first half, the first act of the film, I don't want to say it was atrocious, but it almost got to that point. It jumped around way too much in those first, like the opening of the film, like the first 10 minutes were spectacular. It was really great. I was like, oh, I'm in. This looks like it's going to be fantastic. I'm really excited to get on this ride. But then after that, it felt really choppy, where it was jumping from the past to the present to another kind of present, a little forward, then back and forth over and over and over. And I was kind of trying to grab and hold on to what was going on, but it just kept jumping around. And it took a little while for the movie to find its footing in that section, like closer to the ending of the first act, when the mission and the plot is clearer of what is going on. But I don't know, it just felt really weird how it was jumping like along different scenes, and instead of letting the scene breathe and focusing on what we're trying to feel in that moment, because some of that stuff was supposed to be emotional, it'll cut away like right when the scene started. So that took me out of it just a bit, because I noticed it really well. I didn't really get immersed in it until we got towards where he finally got the task to go find the AI. And the second part of this, and this doesn't, I don't know, I don't think this is on the filmmaker's side, this feels like a corporate decision, is the runtime. It feels like this movie was supposed to be way longer than it actually is. I think it's clocking over just over 2 hours, which is not that long for how much different things that this movie was tackling. It should have been a lot longer than this, maybe 20, maybe 30 more minutes longer. So it could have let a lot of scene breathes. That probably would have helped some of the editing aspects in the beginning, and we would have gotten more character development in terms of just seeing the characters live in this world and exploring it, some more from the side characters, and a little bit more longer on the action itself. I feel like all those things were compacted in this 2 hour and 10-minute movie, when it really should have been stretched out and you know, got time to breathe in maybe a 2 hour and 30-minute movie. But I think because Gareth Edwards, the director, he does a great job directing, it's not a huge name, because he hasn't had a lot of huge movies other than Rogue One, and then there's no like big money making star in this film. Unfortunately, John David Washington hasn't proved that he can draw money. I think that they were like, you got to keep this down to 2 hours, because we can't make it too long and intimidate people, because they don't know who's in it, and we're not going to really be able to advertise it. That's what it kind of felt like. It didn't feel like the filmmakers were like, yeah, this is the time length that we can tell this story. I could see that the scenes were done in a way where it was cut, and they had to make that decision to cut instead of making it breathe and go on. So the runtime was really a problem. If the movie was a little longer, I think this would have smoothed out a lot of the issues I have and a lot of other people have with the film. This is neither a instant classics like some people proclaim, or a derivative sci-fi film. It's somewhere in between. It's a great action sci-fi movie with things that it has to say, and I think they execute them really well. But all the different ideas that this movie has, it doesn't get time to let them breathe so they can be as impactful as it's supposed to be. This movie could have been way more emotionally impactful if it had the time to really like stay and let those scenes move the audience, even though I still was moved by the end, because it did still do enough to get me invested enough that I shed a tear. So it did do its job, but it could have just been more. I should have been bawling because of what was going on the screen. It just didn't have the time to get me invested as much. But the action, the war, the story, and everything like that was just worth it enough for you to go to the theaters and check this out. This is a movie to be seen on the biggest screen possible with the best sound possible, not on the TV screen. I'm definitely going to rewatch it on TV, but I think the first time you see it should be on the big screen. So with that said, I'm going to give the creator a B. Zack Attack Nation, what would you rate this film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? And if you have not seen the film yet, are you excited to check it out based on my review? Let me know in those comments down below everything you liked, everything you hated, and what was your personal opinion about the film, and any questions you have before you want to go check it out. Like the video and let this video pop in, let YouTube know you like my review. Attack that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of reviews, reactions, live discussions, and join this growing community. And you can watch more of my content right now.